Hello everybody and welcome to this Disneyland Paris 2023 Ultimate Guide. Now, I was fortunate enough to actually visit Disneyland Paris last month in February 2023, and honestly, I had the best time. I actually went and vlogged my 4 days at Disneyland Paris. So if you're interested to see what I got up to when I was there, definitely go and check out them vlogs. I'll link the playlist in the description below, or there'll be a tag up here somewhere where you can go and easily go and look at them vlogs. But yeah, I honestly had the best time. Now, I've actually been visiting Disneyland Paris for the last 10 years. I think the first time was when I was 14, 15. And it was really clear, actually, visiting this time, that Disneyland Paris have really upped their game. It is such a magical place to visit, especially with all of the 30th anniversary celebrations going on. I think of all times, this is the time to go and visit Disneyland Paris right now. In this vlog, I'm actually going to be chatting to you all about the top tips, tricks and advice when visiting Disneyland Paris in 2023. I actually went and done a video last month, which was about the booking and planning process. If you're kind of at that stage at the moment, go and check that video. Again, I'll link that in the description box below. But if you are planning on going to Disneyland Paris or you're in the stages of booking, definitely go and check that out so that you can see how you can get the best deal for your Disneyland Paris trip. This vlog, on the other hand, is going to be more about when you actually arrive at Disneyland Paris, what tips and tricks are going to really help you. If you watch the vlogs, you'll see that there was mistakes that I made when visiting Disneyland Paris. So this ultimate guide is really going to be there to help you not make them mistakes. I guess I made them so that you don't make the mistakes. So yeah, that's basically a wrap on what this vlog is going to be about today. And before I get too started with today's vlog, if you're new around here, then hello, my name is Sam and I post lots of Disney travel lifestyle content. So if you don't already, then it would honestly mean the world to me if you could just press that subscribe button. It would honestly mean the world to me, and it means that you're not going to miss out on any of the content that I make, especially when it comes to Disney travel tips. This is definitely going to be quite a long chatty video, so definitely get yourself a cup of tea. I've definitely got mine ready. Get yourself some biscuits and snacks. I haven't shown you this yet, actually. This is the Starbucks 30th anniversary mug that I bought. But it is honestly so beautiful. I actually collect these Starbucks mugs. So everywhere I go, if it's any city break or any Disney park, I actually collect these mugs. But this was the 30th anniversary one. But look at that. It is honestly, I love it. So yeah, you'll probably see me drinking out of these. But yeah, let's crack on with the tips. Okay, so the first thing that I want to mention is about the Eurostar travel. So I would say that the Eurostar is probably the most convenient way of getting to Disneyland Paris. It's at the moment nice direct trains. You get on at London St Pancras, and it's a direct train. It takes 2.5 hours, literally to Disneyland Paris. Like, honestly, I cannot fault that service. It's beautiful. However, this is changing from the 7th of June. They're no longer doing direct trains to Disneyland Paris, which means you're going to have to either get a Eurostar to Lille and then from Lille get an alternative train to Disneyland Paris, or you're going to have to go and get a Eurostar to Paris and then again get a train from Paris to Disneyland Paris. So it's definitely going to make that experience a lot more stressful, and I'm hoping that one day they're going to bring back the direct service because it is just so stress-free. Like, honestly, you get to London and you're on the train to Disneyland Paris. You're sitting there for 2.5 hours. So it's going to make it a lot more stressful, unfortunately. However, it's definitely then maybe worth looking at alternative transport options. If it's easier, for example, to get a plane to Charles de Gaulle and then get a train from Charles de Gaulle or a taxi from Charles de Gaulle, that might be an option for you. I can't really comment on the indirect services because I've never done that. I know they are cheaper, and a lot of people say that it's completely stress-free if you change at Lille, but I think it's something that we're just going to have to get used to, unfortunately. When you actually arrive at King's Cross St Pancras, I would say that it's best to be there earlier than Eurostar recommend. Eurostar actually told us to be there an hour and a half earlier than our train departed. We was there plenty of time. However, the queue was so long. So from joining the queue, it took an hour to actually getting through security. So I'd say get there plenty of time. There's plenty to do at St Pancras as well. So even if you get there very early. You could have breakfast, you could watch some films on your iPad. I think they've got like a duty free when you're through there. So there's plenty to do when you're actually through. But I'd just say definitely get there earlier. So when you actually arrive at Disneyland Paris via the Eurostar, you should definitely make use of the Disney Express luggage service, which is available if you are staying at any of the Disney hotels except for Davy Crockett's Ranch or any of the Disney partner hotels. Now, this honestly is the best service, and it means that you can just go straight to the parks rather than having to worry about, you know, taking your luggage to the hotel and things like that. You simply just go to the express luggage counter, which is on the first floor of the station. It's clearly signposted. There's a big sign saying Disney Express Luggage, and then you just drop your luggage off. And when you're there, they'll obviously pick up your luggage, they'll put it on a trolley, and it's where they'll actually give you your hotel check-in documents and your tickets to actually enter the Disneyland Paris parks. And again, it's the same thing when you're leaving Disneyland Paris. You can use this service by dropping your luggage off at the express luggage counter, which is at your hotel. You have to do that by 11 AM on the day of departure, and then you collect it at the train station before you get on your train home. It honestly is so practical, and it's just nice that you can go straight to the parks, stress-free, not having to worry about getting a bus to your hotel to check in and drop your luggage off, or not having to worry about lugging your suitcases through Disney Village to go to your hotel. It's such a nice service, and I hope it's something that Disneyland Paris keep, because honestly I cannot fault it, and I cannot imagine not utilising the Disney Express luggage service. I absolutely love staying at hotels which are on site, and even though it can be a little bit more expensive, a little bit more pricey, I honestly believe that the benefits of staying on site are huge, and Disneyland Paris do have such a variety of options for different budgets. So the hotels that are on offer are Hotel Santa Fe, Cheyenne, Sequoia Lodge, Newport Bay, Hotel New York, which is the Marvel themed hotel, and the Disneyland Paris Hotel, which is currently closed. Oh, and there's also Davy Crockett's Ranch. So there's 7 options. Now, I've stayed at Santa Fe and Cheyenne. Both of them are the more like budget-friendly options, but honestly, I've loved both. Santa Fe is a little bit more dated, I'd say, but actually, I guess essentially, it's just a place for you to rest. You're at the park all day, so that's all it kind of is. Some of the perks of you staying at a Disneyland Paris hotel is that every single morning, they have got character encounters, and they are usually the main characters that you probably wait a good 45 minutes to an hour for when you're at the park. So it's honestly such a huge advantage that you can save time by meeting characters, and sometimes they are wearing different outfits. That's always makes quite a cool meet and greet. You also get extra magic time, which means that you get access to the parks an hour earlier than the general public, and I'm honestly a huge advocate for this. As you would have seen in my vlogs, I actually got on both of the Avengers campus attractions in the studios within that extra magic hour, and I also managed to do all of Fantasyland in that time. So honestly, I think it's worth waking up early to get use of that extra magic perk, and it's so quiet. You need to just note that not all of the rides are actually open in that extra magic hour. When I went in Fantasyland, the teacups were closed, for example. So definitely just have a little look at the boards that are around the park, just to see what attractions are actually open. Another huge perk is that the parks are actually walking distance from the hotels, and you can actually get free bus transportation to and from the parks. When I stayed at Santa Fe, the walk was about 15 minutes, but if you get to the bus stop and you notice that the queue is huge, it might actually be worth you just walking, because it's not really too bad, and you're going to be walking all day anyway. On that note, I also want to mention that the bus queues are hectic. There's actually no kind of queue line. People just jump in. So again, I'd definitely say when you're there, try and, I guess, stand in the middle, because you don't necessarily know where the bus is going to stop. So stand in the middle, because people will just push you to get onto that bus, especially at the peak morning rush periods, and again, the same in the evening. So when you're at the bus stops, kind of stand your ground, and I'd say, yeah, kind of stand in the middle of the bus stop so that you can kind of, there's got the double doors, and then you can just get in. But people, they will definitely push you because everybody wants to squeeze onto that bus, and it can be quite uncomfortable. And if that's not a situation you want to be in, maybe walking is a better option. And again, it's not too bad, only a 15-minute walk at most for Santa Fe, which is the furthest. Now, I can't really comment on off-site hotels. I've never stayed off-site before. I'm just somebody who loves being in that Disney bubble and just constantly being that close to the parks. And like I said, I honestly think that the perks of staying on site completely outweigh having to stay off-site. It is a personal opinion, I think. There's some people that can't stand being in the Disney bubble. If anybody has any tips, tricks, or advice for staying off-site, then definitely share them in the comments below, because I'd love to hear. It's something that I may consider in the future, especially if, for example, I want to go to Disneyland Paris more often, rather than it just being a yearly occurrence. Then definitely I would say that staying off-site is probably more feasible, because it's not going to cost as much money. But yeah, definitely any tips for staying off-site, I'd love to hear, and I'm sure others would like to hear too, so drop them in the comments below. Moving on to rides, there are actually so many amazing rides at Disneyland Paris. For me, in the actual main Disneyland Paris park, Big Thunder Mountain and Hyperspace Mountain are my absolute favourites. And in the studios, it would probably have to be Tower of Terror as my number one, Crush's Coaster, the new Web Slingers, which was amazing, and Ratatouille. They're probably my ultimate faves between both of the parks. Now, all of them rides are extremely popular, as you can probably imagine, and they get very, very long queues during the day. If you want to avoid them long waits, I'd actually suggest using your extra magic time if you're staying at a hotel, or go in the evening during the fireworks, or even whilst the parade is on, the queues will be shorter. I actually use an app called MagiPark, and that gives you the most up-to-date queue times at the parks. And actually you can set notifications of when the queue actually drops. So for example, if Big Thunder Mountain is on a 2-hour wait, you might want to set it so, I want a notification when it drops down to 60. I actually prefer the MagiPark app to the official Disneyland Paris app. So 100% it's worth downloading that one on your phone. As you can probably tell, I am a bit of a thrill seeker. I love them fast, adrenaline rushing rides, but they're actually not going to be for everyone. And I think the good thing about Disneyland Paris, or actually any Disney park in the world, is there is something for everybody. So I'd say just do your research beforehand, maybe go and get yourself a Disneyland Paris map and just have a little look and see what rides are going to be for you and your family, and just prioritise that. Another thing about Disney is that actually the family rides can be equally as long as them long thrilling rides. So for example, Peter Pan's Flight, that is one that always gets a long queue. Majority of the time it's actually the longest queue in the park. So again, utilise your extra magic time. I used that on my third day at Disneyland Paris, and I was on Peter Pan's Flight in 20 minutes. I've actually waited like an hour and a half for that before. So definitely utilise your extra magic time, the fireworks, the parades, if they aren't priorities for you. Okay, let's talk about your sit-down dining reservations. Now, if these are important to you, it is so important that you go and book them in advance. Now, you have to book them through the Disneyland Paris app, or you can actually phone up Disneyland Paris to book them. They are the only two options. You can't do it on the Disneyland Paris website. It has to be done through the app. Now, everybody can book their Disneyland Paris dining reservations 2 months before their trip. So if you aren't staying at a Disneyland Paris hotel, then you can go onto the app 2 months before and start booking. However, again, this is a perk of staying on site. If you are staying at a Disneyland Paris hotel, you can book your restaurants 12 months in advance. So essentially, as soon as you've booked your hotel, book your restaurants. Like, it makes complete sense to do that. Now, the hard to get restaurants would be Pim Kitchen, which is in Avengers Campus, Chez Remy, which is again in the studios by Ratatouille, and I guess really any of the character dining meats. They are all kind of the hard to get restaurants. So I'd say if these are important to you, do that straight away. Now, I was lucky. I booked Disneyland Paris about 3 weeks before I actually went. When I first looked, there was nothing. I couldn't get Pim Kitchen, I couldn't get Chez Remy, and they were so important to me. But because it was such a last minute booking, I kind of just accepted that I wasn't going to get them. However, just by refreshing the app, I managed to actually get all of the reservations that I wanted. So yeah, I'd definitely say they are the hard to get restaurants. If they're important to you, as early as you can, go and book them. Now, the sit-down restaurants that I done was Pim Kitchen, which was a buffet in Avengers Campus, and it was honestly probably my favourite meal that I had, and the food was amazing. It was like a buffet that had such a big selection. The desserts were amazing. Disneyland Paris love a buffet, and that was probably the best one. The concept of it is the food is either giant-sized or it is tiny, and I cannot fault Pim Kitchen at all. And to me, I actually would go there every time now I visit Disneyland Paris. It was so nice. We had a mocktail actually, that was really nice. Cannot fault it. The other sit-down restaurant that we done was Luggage at Billy Bob's, which is in Disney Village. That's like a Mexican buffet. Again, beautiful. The food selection, there was quite a lot. Not as much as I expected, but I guess for a Mexican, there was lots. It wasn't spicy. You could go up as many times as you wanted. I think I ended up going for... I think I had one plate of main and I had 3 plates of desserts because they had like the 30th anniversary macarons. It was a really nice sit-down restaurant. Another sit-down restaurant that we done was Rainforest Cafe, and you can't actually book this one in advance on the Disneyland Paris app. This is just walk-in only, but we went during lunchtime. We went straight in. It's a huge restaurant, so I guess at peak times you might have to wait a little bit, but because it is honestly huge, I doubt you'd have to wait long. I've never had to wait a long time before, and I've been there 3 times, so highly recommend Rainforest Cafe. I guess it's kind of like an American-Mexican sort of restaurant. If you've been to the London one, it's obviously pretty much the same as that. But again, the food was really, really nice. The drinks were nice. The service was really good. And it's all kind of themed like the rainforest. So again, a beautiful sit-down restaurant. Sit-down restaurants are nice because you can just take time to unwind and relax from the busyness of the park. Now, I haven't really explored many of the quick service options at Disneyland Paris. However, the ones that I keep going to over and over again is Casey's Corner, which is on Main Street. If you know, you know. Casey's Corner is just beautiful. I love it at Walt Disney World. Obviously, Disneyland Paris is, I guess, their version of it. The hot dogs are smaller than they are at Walt Disney World, but essentially it's just a sit-down hot dog, fries, Coke kind of meal. But it's nice and simple. It's quite quick. However, actually I've been before and the service has been extremely slow. But yeah, it's a nice quick service meal, but very, very popular. Another quick service place that I absolutely love would be Pizzeria Bellanotte. Pizzeria Bellanotte is located between It's a Small World and Main Street, like the castle, so it's in between there. And they do Mickey-shaped pizza. They also do other kind of Italian things. They have like a variety of options, but it's very, very basic. I mean, like, don't go there expecting Pizza Express style pizza. It is very, very basic. However, for a quick service meal, it's not too bad. It comes with garlic bread. So you get the pizza, you get garlic bread. I believe in the summer you get a Magnum, but they didn't have that this time, and you get a drink. So nice kind of quick service meals, especially if you don't get any sit-down restaurants or kind of you're going on a budget and you want to just do them quick service meals. 100% recommend them. Can't really fault them. They are basic, but they're nice. I definitely need to explore more because I haven't been to many. I think really they are the only 2 that I've been to at Disneyland Paris. Disneyland Paris snacks are just not it, and it's such a shame because if you visited Disney World, you'll know that snacks are such a big part of your Disney World trip. So it's such a shame to kind of go to a Disney park and the snacks not be great. The snacks that I had on this trip was the Mickey-shaped beignets, which were nothing like the Walt Disney World beignets. They were either filled with Nutella or they was filled with apricot jam. Again, they were nice. They were quite cheap for like a breakfast. However, I found that there was, if you saw the vlog, I kept like eating the beignet and there was just no apricot jam until right at the bottom there was like a tiny bit. When we was waiting for the parade, I saw somebody who had like mini pancakes with Nutella on them. They looked amazing and I wish I got them. I imagine they're from one of the carts, probably in Discoveryland or Fantasyland. They look really, really good. But other than that, I didn't really get any snacks, to be honest. Another thing I suggest though is that obviously throughout the day you are going to get thirsty, you're doing lots of walking, especially in the peak of the summer. It's going to be really, really hot and you're going to be wanting to get drinks. Now, the actual drinks in Disneyland Paris were €4 each. Every evening we would go to a little cart that was outside Annette's and we'd get some drinks for the next day and then we'd put them in our bag. And we paid €4 each, which is an extortionate price for a bottle of Coke or a bottle of Fanta. But we'd done it because it was just Disney prices. However, on our final day, we actually went into the Eurostar station and their bottles of drink were €2 each. So half the price of what Disney were charging. So I highly recommend that if you want to get drinks and not pay the Disney price tag, just go into the Eurostar station in the morning and there's like a little shop on the corner and they sell bottled drinks for €2. You can't go wrong. Like that's the price that you should be paying, not €4 per drink. So a little tip there, go to the Eurostar station and get your drinks there. Right, let's chat about character meet and greets. Now, you can meet some amazing characters at Disneyland Paris, and if you go onto the official Disneyland Paris app, it will actually show you the characters that are available to meet. Some of them are in the same location every single day, so it's worth looking at the app before your trip and just kind of seeing what characters you can meet. Now, my favourite character to meet was actually Phantom Mickey, who was located outside Phantom Manor and he's wearing his Phantom Manor outfit. And honestly, it was such a fun meet and greet. The interaction was great. We were speaking about, I think, my Spirit jersey that I was wearing at the time and my ears and his outfit. That was really, really fun. Now, some characters, they just kind of appear randomly for meet and greets. So you might just be walking and then randomly a character's there ready to do a meet and greet. And Disney usually do this unannounced. It's to disperse the crowds. It's kind of just luck if you are walking past and you see a character is ready for a meet and greet. But they are sometimes the more fun meet and greets, I'd say, because they're just random and you wasn't expecting it and you haven't got a queue too long. You can also meet Mickey Mouse at the back of Fantasyland. He kind of has his own building where you can meet him. And you can also meet a variety of princesses at the Princess Pavilion, but typically they're longer waits, I guess, because it's kind of open all day and it's just like an attraction that's constantly building up a queue. So you can meet them there. And in terms of like prioritising character meet and greets, I guess it really depends on how important they are to you and your family. For me, I think they make a Disney trip. There's nowhere else where you can go and meet Disney characters in that way and have such an amazing interaction. So for me, it's really, really important and I'm willing to not queue over an hour, but I feel like I've got good now at judging how long a queue probably is going to be. Sometimes the characters kind of go away so that you'll be there and then they'll say, oh, I don't know, Mickey will be back in 5 minutes. That's normal. When I met Mickey, the queue was about 40 minutes, I'd say, but actually Mickey kind of went for 5-minute breaks twice, I think, in that 40 minutes. So yeah, definitely factor that in, but you'll get good at kind of just judging how long the queue is. Now, for most Disney character meet and greets, you have to go into a kind of traditional queuing system to meet them. So you'll just join the line and then wait. However, to meet any of the Marvel characters at the Hero Training Centre in Avengers Campus, you have to go and join a virtual queue, which you can do via the Disneyland Paris app. And I believe this starts at about 10 o'clock in the morning. To do this, you actually have to be scanned into the park and they have a variety of heroic encounters that you can take part in, which includes meeting either Spider-Man, Iron Man or Captain Marvel. You can actually only book one heroic encounter per day and they honestly go so quickly, so you have to be fast. I was on there at 10 o'clock. I pressed it and I think our queue was about 90 minutes. So, but they do go really, really quickly. However, if you're not quick enough, then it doesn't matter too much because you can actually see some of the superheroes on the top of the buildings in Avengers Campus. It's pretty cool. And yeah, they're kind of like, they wander around. Obviously you can't necessarily have interaction with them, but they are good at kind of being at the top of the building and seeing people who are interacting with them on the floor, and they will interact where possible. So that's always an option. Now, one thing that Disneyland Paris are consistently good at is their daytime shows. And the shows that they've got at the main Disneyland park is Lion King, The Rhythm of the Pride Lands. It honestly is such an incredible show. And I think I said in the vlog, but it is honestly like Broadway West End quality. It is such an amazing show. It's so well put together. The singing is so good. The choreography is amazing. You'd honestly think you are sitting in a West End theatre. It is amazing. You've also got Disney Junior Dream Factory, which I saw for the first time on this trip. Again, it was stunning. The set was amazing. It was quite a nice story, so I really enjoyed that. You've also got Stitch Live in the studios, which is like a screen and it's kind of an interaction with Stitch. If you've done Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor at Walt Disney World, it's essentially the same thing, but with Stitch instead. That was really, really good. Mickey and the Magician was closed whilst I was there. However, that is a phenomenal show. Probably my favourite Disney show that I've ever seen. It has moments where it's Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, Lion King. Like, it's truly a magical show. 100% worth going to that. And there's also the Frozen show, which was quite fun, and that was also in the studios. Now, for all of these shows, they are amazing. They're top quality. However, the queues for them are really, really long. I would actually recommend that you go to these shows about an hour before to join the line. The way that you can kind of pay to bypass the queue, particularly in them really, really busy summer months, it might be worth doing that. But you can do that for the Lion King Rhythm of the Pride Land show, and you can also do that for Mickey and the Magician. I believe it's £13 to bypass the queue, but if it's important to you, you want to see that show, but you don't want to waste an hour, hour and a half queuing, it might be worth you paying £13 each to bypass that queue. I've not personally done it. I was actually quite fortunate on multiple occasions of kind of getting to the show and just being lucky to get a seat in February. However, it was kind of a quieter period. During busy periods, I imagine it's going to be a lot more difficult to just turn up to a show. In terms of the fireworks shows, which you can see at Disneyland Paris, there is currently Disney Illuminations, which is running until the 12th of April. Now, I'm not a fan of Illuminations. I made that very clear in the vlogs. I feel like it doesn't flow. It's not very emotional. However, like I said, if it's your first time visiting a Disney park, you're going to love it. You will love it. There's nothing else like it, really, in terms of fireworks. Like, it's not just fireworks. There's projections. It is a beautiful show. It's just not as good as the ones at Walt Disney World. So for me, it's just not the same. However, that is changing to Disney Dreams from the 12th of April, which I've seen. I saw that on my very first Disneyland Paris trip. And Disney Dreams has got such a special place in my heart because that was the first ever Disney fireworks that I have ever seen. Now, for these fireworks, in order for you to get a good view, I suggest that you go there early, probably an hour and a half before. What I usually do is go there an hour and a half before, kind of gauge how busy Main Street is. If you can see that people are already beginning to wait and there's quite a lot of people, then that's when I know that I just need to kind of wait an hour and a half. And it's always worth it, to be fair. Like, yes, it's a long wait, but it does go quite quick. It's quite nice just people watching during that time, especially when you've had a day on your feet constantly. It's quite nice to just do that. But yeah, I'd say an hour and a half before, definitely be there. I like standing. You've got the castle, and then there's kind of like almost like flower bed things almost, and there's gates around them. And I like standing behind one of them gates or fences, because if I'm standing behind there, nobody can get in front of me. And it means that you'll always find that people put their children on their shoulders, and then it blocks your view. So I like just being there because I know that I've got a good view. But again, they are almost hard to get spots, and it's best to be there an hour and a half before so that you're in position. Once you've seen it once, then it doesn't really matter. Like, you could either go and do some nighttime rides or go and see the fireworks again, but a bit further back down Main Street, because I wouldn't recommend waiting an hour and a half for 2 nights, because that's quite a bit of time wasted. So I definitely suggest that. The Disney Delight, which is the drone show that they have at Disneyland Park to celebrate the 30th anniversary, is amazing. I love the Delight part of the show. That starts 10 minutes before, and it was stunning. I've never seen a drone show before, but it was really, really beautiful and a really nice celebration for the 30th. So I loved that, and it's definitely worth seeing that. Now, over in the studios, they have got Avengers Power of the Night drone show. This by far was the best nighttime show that I have ever seen Disneyland Paris put on. It was amazing. Unfortunately, it is ending quite soon because the studios basically closes earlier than the main park, and as sunset gets later, obviously they can't do a drone show when it's still light. So that is going to end, but hopefully they continue to keep it as a winter thing, really. But honestly, that was an amazing show. The drones were fantastic. Obviously, there was the odd few fireworks. It's quite a short show. You haven't got to be there an hour and a half earlier for that show. I think we turned up about 20 minutes before, but 100% worth it. If anything, it is the best nighttime show that Disneyland Paris have put on, and I highly recommend that you go and see it if you're visiting Disneyland Paris soon. Now, another thing that's so important when visiting Disneyland Paris is the parades. Currently, their parade, Dream and Shine Brighter, is probably the best Disney parade I have ever seen in my whole life. It is better than the ones at Disney World, the best one that I've seen at Disneyland Paris. Honestly, it's amazing. And I guess it's kind of, yes, it's a parade, but it's different because they come up onto the stages that are in the Central Plaza, and there's dancing. They have like a few fireworks that go off. Honestly, it is such an amazing parade. For that one, they do it multiple times throughout the day, so just check the app and see what times you can see Dream and Shine Brighter. But it's so good. The music is really good in it. It lasts a long time. There is so much going on around you. You're kind of going from one stage to the other stage, but I thoroughly enjoyed Dream and Shine Brighter. And if you're going to Disneyland Paris, you're bound to see it at some point anyway, because even just walking down Main Street, I feel like the amount of times I walked past and that parade was on, because it's so regular throughout the day. So I highly recommend going and doing Dream and Shine Brighter. The other parade is Disney Stars on Parade. This has been here for quite a while now, but it's quite a nice parade. It's not my favourite Disney parade, but for that one, I like standing between It's a Small World and the castle, really. The same place where Pizzeria Bellanotte is, so the opposite side of that. I get there about 30 minutes before, and it's a really good spot. It's kind of the start of the parade, so you'll see the parade go by, and then you can follow the parade out. So once it's finished, you'll stand behind the parade float, and if you need to get to Disney Village, which I done because we were going to Annette, you can cut through one of the arcades. So there's 2 arcades which are on either side of the shops at Main Street, and literally you just walk through. You haven't got to wait behind a parade and go really slowly behind it. You can just cut through the arcade, and it's amazing that you can do that. Now, the next thing I'm going to talk about is the shops. And the shops, for me, were quite a disappointment this time when visiting Disneyland Paris. If you know me, you'll know that I love a pin badge. I'll normally get 1 pin badge per day. I impulsively buy it because there's so many and they're so beautiful. However, this time, if you watch my vlogs, you'll know there was nothing. It was honestly shocking. But kind of what I'll say in this section is, if there's something that you see that you think, do you know what, I really like that, just buy it, because things go quickly at Disneyland. For example, if you see something for the 30th anniversary and you like it, just go and buy it impulsively, because chances are the next time you go to that shop, you're not going to find it anywhere. So I'm going to go and talk to you about some of my favourite shops at Disneyland Paris and the best time to go shopping. Now, in terms of the best time, I would say avoid going shopping at the end of the night, because them shops are rammed, like completely rammed. You literally can't move in there. So avoid going shopping at night time. However, if you go shopping at about 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, that's when the shops are nice and quiet, because people are out doing attractions and things like that, watching shows. And you can actually go and have a proper browse in the shops. My favourite ones have to be the ones on Main Street. I always dedicate some time to actually look through. They do such a variety of stuff, whether it's clothes, pin badges usually, all your 30th anniversary merchandise. They have all of that stuff in them shops. Also the Christmas shop, which is located inside the castle. All year they sell Christmas stuff. It's constantly Christmas at Disney. So if you want to get some baubles or some Christmas ornaments, the Christmas shop is for you. It's quite expensive. They're quite expensive Christmas ornaments, but I love going in there. It's such a pretty shop and you'll love that. World of Disney, which is located in the Disney Village, is another one. Again, avoid at the end of the day. But in the middle of the day, it's nice to just have a little browse in there. Sometimes I'd say World of Disney is slightly better than the Main Street shops. I find that it sometimes has more. But again, it has every Disney essential that you might want, or all of the merchandise. Oh, and in the studios, before you even get to Studio 1, so before that, there's a shop on the left-hand side, and I always find that they sell things that you can't find in any other shop. So I always have quite a successful time in that shop and find things. Not this time, however, but hopefully Disneyland Paris will up their merch, because this time it wasn't great. But fingers crossed, in the future, Disneyland Paris are going to get their merch game back on. Another main tip is to make sure that you've got a park hopper pass. And this is because your plans probably will change. I always kind of plan my trip so that the first day I have spending at Disneyland Park, my second day is at the Studios Park, and then any days going on forward from that are half and half. However, I would say that the Studios at the moment is like a half-day park, which means that even though you might aim to spend a whole day there, you probably are going to want to flick between both parks. And you'll notice in the vlogs, we've done this all the time. It might be we was in the studios and it's like, oh, let's go and see Dream and Shine Brighter again. And we'd quickly run to Disneyland Park to go and see that. And just be flexible. Things will change. There were so many times on my trip that things change. For example, PhilharMagic, we was like, we're gonna go and see PhilharMagic. And we went the first time and it was closed. We went again and it was closed. And then we went again and it was open. So also look at the Disneyland Paris app and just see what time attractions open. Some of them don't open at park opening. Some of them close earlier. So it's just important that you go and just research the times that things open, because it does change. But just be flexible with your plans and just accept that sometimes things might not 100% go your way, but just go with the flow. So that really is my ultimate guide to Disneyland Paris. I really hope that you found this video useful, and if you did, then please make sure that you're pressing that subscribe button, you're liking this video, and you're commenting below any of your own tips, tricks and advice, because A, that's definitely going to help me in the future when I book a Disneyland Paris trip, but also it will help everybody else out. So make sure you're commenting down below if you have any other tips, tricks or advice for Disneyland Paris. Now for you eagle-eyed watchers, as you'll see, I have a Disney countdown, but for what Disney park, I don't know. So stay tuned guys, because there's definitely going to be another series of Disney vlogs. I'm just not going to announce just yet where I am going for this trip. So that is a wrap on today's video. Hope you found it useful, and I've honestly loved chatting with you guys all about my Disneyland Paris tips and tricks. I hope you enjoyed everything, and I will see you real soon. Bye guys.